His Chicago stories we're following for you today on Robin Hood Radio. In Great Barrington, a blaze at a private residence within the Aston Magna estate on Tuesday morning is under investigation by the Massachusetts Department of Fire Services. No injuries were reported from the fire after homeowners called responders at 7:26 in the morning. It's still unclear how the fire started. The residence that caught fire was purchased by Joyce Greenberg and Stephen Deutsch. Elman said the couple could not be reached for comment. Connecticut reported another 767 COVID-19 cases based on testing yesterday and 20 more deaths. The 5.6 positivity rate was lower than Monday's 6% and 1% less than the 6.6% recorded a week ago. Throughout the state, 1,226 COVID-19 patients were hospitalized, with 313 of them being treated within the Hartford healthcare system. That include Torrington's Charlotte Hungerford Hospital, where 12 patients were being treated. That number was half of what it was before Christmas. Statewide, the number of hospitalizations remained relatively stable, with an increase of just 7. In New York, officials changed New York's required COVID-19 quarantine guidelines to 10 days to be in compliance with new federal guidelines, a 4-day reduction from the 2-week standard set by health experts at the start of the pandemic last spring. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released new COVID-19 guidance this week that people exposed to the disease can end their quarantine period after 10 days without a test. The state adopted the state guidance on Tuesday, allowing New Yorkers to end an isolation period after 10 days as long as they report no symptoms during the quarantine. As Dutchess County prepares to enter a new year, COVID-19's grip on the region appears to be growing tighter. Entering the final week of 2020, the county hit a new high for the number of patients hospitalized with the virus. The number of active cases was on the rise again, and the infection rate was at its highest since mid-May. On Monday, the county's 7-day rolling average infection rate reached 7.3%, which is the highest it's been since May 15th, according to the state. Well, relief is on the way for millions of Americans, hundreds of dollars. Thousands are expected to be coming for businesses, according to Ned Lamont. He shared what he knew about the timeline on Monday. For residents, the governor said you can expect your stimulus checks very early, maybe sometime in the next week. But when it comes to businesses and those on unemployment, the answer varies greatly. Starting on the state level, there are 2 active grant programs for businesses. One is the Connecticut Cares Fund. The state received over 18,000 applications, and 10,000 businesses were funded with a one-time grant of $5,000. That money is either arriving now or will come within the next week. The second program is the Business Recovery Program. That one's a little different because there's no application process. The state will target the hardest hit industries and give them a grant of anywhere between $10,000 and $30,000. Those programs put in place to help locals while the federal government took their time for a new financial package. Those on unemployment should expect $600 weekly through March in Connecticut. For businesses, in order to get federal dollars, they'll apply the same way they did when they submitted for the Paycheck Protection Program last spring. Business can expect that money sometime in January. Out of Albany, more than 1.7 million New York residents should not see any lapse in their federal unemployment benefits and can expect to see an extra $300 payment beginning next week. That, according to Governor Andrew Cuomo's administration, announcing the State Department of Labor is in position to distribute newly extended federal unemployment payments next week, covering the weekly pay period ending January 3rd. Out of Chatham, the Shaker Museum was awarded a $550,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities to improve its facilities. The Infrastructure and Capacity Building Challenge grant money will be used for climate-controlled collection storage facility within the new museum building, which is planned for downtown Chatham. Museum Executive Director Lacey Schultz, in a statement, said, quote, "As stewards of this incredible collection, our first priority is to preserve and protect this material so we can turn and share it with generations to come. The grant will help us do just that." End quote. Out of Lenox, with the state tightly restricting out-of-state visitors as the COVID-19 pandemic goes on, Canyon Ranch in Lenox is suspending its operations from January 4th until April 1st, citing the inability of guests to travel to the high-end resort. The difficult decision to close temporarily, according to the managing director. The reopening date may be adjusted based on changing conditions. It's their hope that an earlier date can be planned. Coming up today in Dover, it's the Town Board organizational meeting. That'll be followed immediately by the Town Board regular meeting. And coming up this weekend, of course, Salisbury Winter Sports Association has their junior ski jump Learn to Ski Jump camp for boys and girls ages 7+. It's on January 1st and 2nd from 9 till 3 at Satry Hill in Indian Cave Road in Salisbury. Pre-registration or more information available from Ken Barker at 860-806-0471 or on the web, jumpfest.org. A reminder, due to the surge in the pandemic and to protect musicians and staff, the Berkshire Bach Society had to cancel their Bach and Telemann performance, was to be pre-recorded live on the Mahawi stage and streamed to you on New Year's Eve. In place of that, they will present a free broadcast of the January 1st, 2020 performance of the Troy Savings Bank Music Hall. To get more information, the web link for that is berkshirebach.org/events. Our business brief is underwritten by Morgan's at the Interlaken, interlakenin.com, also on Facebook, and by Salisbury Bank, salisburybank.com. Dow Jones Industrial Average starts off today at 30,335.67, the Nasdaq at 12,850.22, and the S&P 500 at 3,727.04. We'll take a look at that tri-state forecast. That'll come your way in just a few moments.